Nilesh TT sir is passionate about interacting with the optometry youth and help them achieve their goals. Thank you so much, sir. And I would like to request you, sir, please unmute yourself and start your presentation fitting toric contact lenses. And
Okay,
thanks for joining.
so thank you, Ikra, for that lovely introduction, and thank you to everyone who's here right now. I can see we have around 74 people attending this session. Am I right, Ikra?
Yes, sir.
I think you can stay unmuted because I may have a few questions, or I may need some feedback while I'm talking. So at least one person should be able to give me that feedback. नहीं तो ऐसे होता है कि मैं अभी खुद से ही बात कर रहा हूँ and I'm not very good at that. Okay. And the rest can be on mute. And if you have any questions or if you have any doubt or any comments, you can put it in the chat. So, as we go along, we can take those. ठीक है? Sounds good, Ikra?
Yes, sir.
All right. My voice is okay?
Yes, sir. Your voice is okay.
My screen is visible and my video is also visible. I'm sure that you would not want to look at that. You would probably want to look at the screen more than anything else. But let's get started now. So as we discussed some time back, we would talk about fitting toric contact lenses, right? And before I actually get into toric contact lens fitting, let me just show you something which you don't want to do in your practice, okay? And generally ये होता है जो चीज हमें ठीक से नहीं आती ना हम उसको बहुत complicated समझते हैं. And sometimes toric lenses is one of those. If you miss this particular lecture, you would say that, this is very complicated and this is something I don't want to deal with. And after today's session, I don't want any one of you to feel that it is too complicated. It is something which is almost like a regular contact lens, regular soft contact lens, just couple of more things and then you're sorted. There's a lot of feedback coming in. I think Ikra, it's at your end or someone else's end. Maybe you can also go on mute. So there's a lot of noise, so maybe you can also go on mute.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello. Can you just go on mute, guys? Because there's a lot of feedback and it's a bit disturbing. And someone is saying voice is not clear. I think at my end it should be okay. So maybe if there's a problem with internet at your end, that is a possibility. Apart from that, I think this is the best I can do. So let's get started. People go on mute, and if you have any questions, you can put in chat. And Ikra, feel free to stop me during the presentation if it is an important question that needs to be addressed there and there. Please go ahead and stop me. Okay, I'll use English as my language most of the time. Maybe a little bit of Hindi here and there, but it will not be out of context. So don't worry, those who don't understand Hindi, you are not missing anything. Okay.
Sir, just give me a second. Just give me.
Can you mute everyone?
Yes, sir. Now you can start.
All right, thank you. Let's get into the subject now. So I just want everyone to understand why we are talking about toric contact lenses and why we are talking about correcting astigmatism. Okay. Now, if you look at an astigmatic patient or astigmatic eye that has astigmatism in excess of 3 diopters. Now 3 diopters is quite high, but if you just look at the simulation of the image, that person would be experiencing, it would be something like this. So if you have an astigmat who requires a minus cylinder at 90° and the prescription is in excess of 3 diopters, the image will be something like your left hand side bottom, and if it is minus 3 at 180, it would be right hand side bottom. An e-metrop would see something like the top image. Now you would say 3 diopters is quite high, and I understand it is quite high. Let's look at what is happening. Oh God. So this is how the image would be in case of 3 diopters of astigmatism. Now, if you look at how people were managing astigmatic patients using contact lenses, it would be something like this. A few years ago, we used to have only spherical contact lenses. So what people did was they just overcorrected with on top spectacle correction, because toric lenses were not available, and when they became available, they were not very predictable. They were very thick, and the two lenses of the same power did not behave in the same way. So that was a bit of a problem. Also, because the toric prescriptions were not so um, routinely available in contact lenses, many times 4:1 spherocylindrical ratio was applied. What it means is, if you have 4 diopter of spherical and 1 diopter of cylinder, you use spherical equivalent, which is, let us say, 4.5 diopter, and that would work reasonably well. That was an assumption, and most people applied this routinely because that was the only choice. Fortunately, things improved recently, and today practitioners are improving. The fitting skills are improving. The products are improving, because if you look at the toric lenses in toric contact lenses that we have in today's market, they're very much uh, they're very superior to what they were few years ago. And if you look at the industry data, I think around 15 to 20% of the soft contact lens prescriptions would be toric contact lenses. Also, patients awareness is also improving now. So there are patients who come to you and they say they want something like, I have astigmatism and I need prescription for that, etc., etc. So that is also changing now, and because of all these things, it is important that all of us understand the importance of fitting toric soft contact lenses, right? So what are the ways we can manage astigmatic patients? One is RGP, soft rigid gas permeable contact lenses. Other two would be spherical soft contact lenses, and then we have toric contact lenses. Now we are going to focus on the soft contact lenses part here in this particular lecture. Before we proceed, can you just answer this question? And you can put it in the chat, because I don't want you to go anywhere else. Just put it on the chat window, and I want Ikra to summarize the answer for me. So if you have a prescription minus 2.5 with 0.75 axis 180, what would be your first choice in terms of answering this? We have spherical soft contact lens, we have spherical RGP lens, we have toric soft contact lens, or only spectacles. You would not prescribe any contact lens. So can you quickly answer this question in the window?
Symbolic of contact lenses.
Yeah, so just keep typing, and I'm seeing a few options coming in. I'll give you a few more seconds to type your answer. Maybe 5 seconds more. Good, I am happy to see the answers coming through. So the competition is between C and A, it seems.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so last 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. Okay, now stop answering this question. Let's focus on the talk now. So most of you feel that you would want to give a spherical soft contact lens. And if I ask you why you want to do that, why not toric soft contact lens? Some of you would say that, because there is enough spherical power and less cylinder power, even with spherical contact lenses, the patient might see reasonably well. That would be most of you would answer in that particular way, right? Now, why not toric soft contact lens if I ask you? Because they are available. They would they would correct the prescription exactly. So why would you not choose those? Does anyone want to answer in the chat? Those who have answered A, why would you not pick C? Why would you not pick C, and why would you pick A? If you want to just type it.
CC. Toric, toric soft contact lens C, because electrical power in after transpose.
So can you type it instead of answering because the voice is not clear? Okay, so some of us are saying that tear film will play a role and it will probably correct or mask some of the astigmatism. That's one of the answer. Anything else? Some people say that patients are comfortable only with spherical lenses. Okay, so I'm understanding something new today. And probably at the end of this session, we would have a better answer of this question. Some of you are saying it is cost effective. Okay, good. So let's move now. Let's look at the some of the information that we've had from a study. So we did a study a few years ago about what makes you prescribe toric lenses, and if at all you prescribe, why would you prescribe and why would you not prescribe? So we have a few understandings here. Can you go on mute, everyone, please? It is really annoying. The noise is really annoying. So we tried to understand what makes people prescribe contact lenses and some interesting things we found out. Okay, so first of all, this was done in northern India. Can you go on mute?
Sir, let just give me a second because ये candidate mute नहीं हो रहा as excuse भी नहीं हो रहा. Just give me a second.
Yeah, I understand, but it's really annoying when you're talking, no, because we can't see each other, and plus there's so much of noise coming. It's a bit of distraction. I'll try my
Sir,
best not to get distracted, but it is still distracting. Okay, so we found out that out of these people, when they were all the practitioners from the northern India, only 13% of their practice was toric contact lenses, and more than half of them was still using 4:1 spherocylindrical ratio. Okay. One good thing was those who had completed a degree course in optometry, they were using 4:1 ratio less frequently. So these were our findings from that particular study. Now, what is spherocylindrical ratio of 4:1? I think all of you know that. And spherical soft contact lens still have a little bit of, I would say, value in managing astigmatic patients also, especially if it is 0.5 cylinder or less. 0.75 onwards, if you ask me, my first choice would be toric contact lens. Okay, so if you have 4 diopter sphere power and 1 diopter cylinder, you add half of that and that gives you the spherical equivalent, and spherical soft contact lens may be helpful in these cases. The problem is with spherical contact lenses, because they do not mask any cylinder, it's a compromise. So it's a best vision sphere that you are providing. You're not correcting the entire astigmatism of the patient. With RGP lenses, you can do that because the lenses are rigid. So there is a formation of tear lens between the lens and the cornea, which does not happen in case of a soft contact lens. So with soft contact lens, you need to have a design which is correcting the cylindrical prescription and not the tear film formation. That's important. So if you prescribe a minus 2.25 spherical contact lens to this particular patient, this is how the vision would be. This is again a simulation, but this is close to what the patient will see. And if you want to know the difference, this is the difference between a fully corrected astigmatic patient versus a patient who is corrected by spherical equivalent. I hope the vision, I hope the slide. So Ikra, do you have a, can you mute all? Ikra, can you mute all?
So yes, sir.
Just mute all. This unmutes me. Okay, now there is no feedback, but can you hear me and can you see the slide?
No, sir, your
No,
slide
sir.
is not.
My slide is not visible, is it?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
request.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me just do the screen share.
This
So,
conference will now be recorded.
so let's look at some other types of scribe marks. Some of the lenses may have vertical line at 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock position, as you can see this in this picture, on the eye as well as outside the eye. Okay, then some of them will just have one single line at 6 o'clock position. Now, ideally, this is supposed to be orienting at 6 o'clock position of the eye. And this is what you will see in most of the patients. And if you don't see this, what we need to do, we can discuss that later. Now, some may have these dotted lines at 3 and 9 o'clock position. Some may have dotted lines and at 3, 6 and 9 o'clock position. This depends on the lens that the brand that you are ordering. With different manufacturers and different brands, these scribe marks are at different position. But with every toric contact lens, there will be scribe marks because you want to know how the lens is settling on the eye. Okay. I hope we are okay so far. Can you just put it on the chat if everything is okay so far? And if the speed is okay, if the voice is okay. All right, thanks. Now, I'm not going to talk about the stabilization techniques because that's a bit theoretical and you can see it in your textbooks as well as your IACL modules. I thought we would directly talk about the fitting of toric lenses, assuming you know there are stabilization techniques. And those are important, of course, because uh, a spherical lens, it can rotate and it will not change the vision and image quality of the patient's in the patient's eye. But if a toric lens rotates, it's not going to give you good vision because the cylinder is working at a wrong axis and that's not going to help the patient. So it has to settle in a particular way so that the axis of the lens is aligned with the astigmatic axis of the patient. And that is so important in terms of toric contact lens fitting. So let's look at how you can fit toric contact lenses. So there are three fitting techniques. One is called as empirical fitting, which is basically you only do the measurements. You take all the measurements required of the eye and you directly order a contact lens. That's called as a empirical fitting. Diagnostic means after the measurements, you apply a contact lens onto the patient's eye for sometimes, let us say 15 to 20 minutes, and you see how the lens is fitting on the eye, and based on that, you order the final lens. Trial means you put a contact lens onto the patient's eye and let the patient wear contact lens outside the clinic. So the patient might actually go walk outside, use the lens in the actual environment of the patient, come back, and the patient would give you a feedback, and depending on that, you would decide the final contact lens. Now, generally, trial lens is not done in toric lenses. We do either empirical or diagnostic. Diagnostic means in trial, in clinic trial. Okay. So somebody wants me to repeat the terms. I'll do that again. Empirical means you do only the measurements and directly order the final lens. Diagnostic means after doing the measurements, you also apply a lens onto the patient's eye and let the patient wait for some time in the clinic, do the assessment, and then select the final lens. That's diagnostic. Trial means you let the patient wear the contact lens outside the clinic also, and then take a decision as to uh, what should be the final contact lens. You can see the picture here, right? I just want to flaunt a little bit here. I have taken this picture. It looks so nice, right? Some people want me to speak Hindi, some people want me to speak English. So I'll try to mix both again. Let's take an example and that will make this clear. ठीक है, अब एक example ले लेते हैं. So you have a patient who's walking in your clinic and you've done rest everything और patient का refraction ये है. We have -3 with -2.5 axis 180. और ये हम सिर्फ राइट आई की बात करेंगे फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर एग्जांपल. तो प्लीज इग्नोर द लेफ्ट आई फॉर द टाइम बिंग. लेट्स लुक एट द राइट आई. नाउ we have to fit toric contact lens because obviously if you put a -2.5, if the patient has such a high cylinder, it's not going to help by only spherical soft contact lens. हमें toric lens देना ही पड़ेगा. अगर हमारे पास toric lens नहीं होता, then what we would do is we would have taken half of the spherical and we would have added that to the half of the cylinder, and we would have added it to the spherical, and that would have been our power. But because the cylinder power is so high, that will not help this particular patient. So what do? We have to fit a toric contact lens only, right? So let's see how we can do that. In case of spherical lens, we simply take the vertex distance correction in one meridian. But now this is a toric lens, so we have to take vertex correction separately in two different meridians, and this is how it will be. Your -3 will be acting in one particular meridian. In the other meridian, the power which is acting will be -5.5. Okay, when you add 3 and 2.5, it will be 5.5. So let's take vertex correction separately and see what power we get. Okay, so -3 का vertex correction करने के बाद भी -3 ही आएगा. Generally, the vertex correction applies after the power increases beyond 4 diopter, right? So we have -3 as it is. -5.5 will approximately become, let us say, -5.25. Okay, so when you convert it back in a spherocylindrical prescription, this will be your power, -3 along with -2.25, and axis, we don't know the final axis yet, but if you want to choose one axis as the first trial lens axis, you would choose 180 because that's your spectacle cylinder axis. Are we okay so far? Can you just put it on the chat if this is okay? All right. Thank you so much for your comments, guys. That is helping me because I understand that you are understanding. So what we have done here is very simple. Instead of doing any spherical equivalent, we have only we have put the powers in optical cross, and we have taken vertex correction separately in two meridians. So we have -3 in one meridian, minus 5.5 becomes minus 5.25, and when you put it back in spherocylindrical prescription, that becomes 2.25. Okay, so this is your trial length. Now what you will do is you will put -3 with 2.25 cylinder. Now for some of you, if you were confused, this is how it works. This is the optical cross. So -3, 5.5 becomes 5.25, and that's your power calculation, and that's your axis. Okay, now let's move. Another example. I want you to do this example now. -5 with 3.5, axis 90. So what should I write in the vertical meridian? What should be the power in the vertical meridian? You can start typing. What should I write in vertical and what should I write in the horizontal? Guys, start typing. -5 कहाँ होना चाहिए और -8.5 कहाँ होना चाहिए? Okay, so someone is saying I should write -5 on the vertical meridian, vertical line, and 8.5 on the horizontal line. Let's see. So most of you were right. The power is acting at the axis 90. That means it is acting on the horizontal meridian. Axis or power perpendicular होते हैं, right? Okay, stop typing, guys. So we have बहुत लिख गया. So we have -5 in the vertical meridian, 8.5 in the horizontal meridian, and as if you could recall what we discussed some time back, we have to take vertex correction in each meridian. So -5 becomes 4.75, 8.5 becomes around 8 diopter. So putting it back to spherocylinder, it will be -4.75 with -3.25, axis 90. I hope you understood the power calculation here. So if you have to order a power blindly without even putting a lens onto the eye, this is the power you would order empirically. Without trying a lens, this would be the power. I hope we are okay until here. Yeah, shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now some of you would say, यार ये क्या mathematical calculation है, हम अभी practitioner है, हम बड़े हो गए, हमें ये सब नहीं करना है. Okay, don't worry. If you don't want to do the calculations, most manufacturers provide vertex correction chart. So you can directly look at the chart and you will be able to order. Okay. You don't have to worry about the chart. It's okay. You don't have to look at the chart. This is just an example. So you can directly look at the chart and that gives you the value. For example, we had -3 with -2.5. So somewhere so that becomes 3 with -2, axis 180. Okay, so just look at the manufacturer's recommended vertex correction chart and you will be able to find out the powers. So you don't have to worry about the power calculation too much, but I would generally say you should be well versed with power calculation क्योंकि हम optometry से उतना तो हमें आना चाहिए. Okay, now we know the power and axis of the contact lens, which was -3 with 3.25, axis 180 degree. Now the next question we have to do is select the base curve. Okay, and if you remember your soft contact lens fitting, base curve is selected by adding around 0.8 millimeter to the flatter meridian. Now if in this example you have 7.5 and 7.7 as the two K readings, vertical and horizontal, which one is flatter of the two? 7.7. So in millimeter, higher value is the flatter value. Now what do? You add 0.8 to the flatter of the two and that's your value of the base curve. So can someone tell me what is the base curve value here? What should be the base curve? You can type. Good, we are getting some answers here. And fortunately, we got the same answer by everyone. So I want to congratulate you. आप जीत गए 1000 रुपए. So we have 7.7 plus 7.8 and the value becomes 8.5. Okay. So that's your base curve. Now we have calculated spherical value, cylinder value, and the base curve also. So what do we do now? We put a lens which has these powers and 8.5 base curve, and we apply it to the patient's eye. This is the parameter. Okay. Now trust me, with today's disposable toric lenses, if you blindly order this particular without even putting any lens onto the eye, more than 90 to 95% of the time, the lens will fit and the patient will be happy vision wise as well as fitting wise. Let me repeat what I said. More than 90% of the times, your first trial lens will be your last final lens that you will dispense. And that is why today a lot of practitioners recommend empirical fitting. वो आपको क्या बोलते हैं? आपको ट्रायल लेंस की जरूरत ही नहीं है. You can directly order the contact lens based on these calculations and the lens will fit. Okay. So more than 90% of the time, this is what you have to do. Just order empirically. But suppose you want to try a lens and see how the lens fits. What do? You put a lens onto the patient's eye. You wait for around 15-20 minutes. You wait for around 15 to 20 minutes and you assess the lens fitting. How do? You check the coverage of the lens. You check the centration of the lens. Post blink movement, it should be around 0.5 millimeter. Ask the patient if the patient is comfortable, and the vision has to be stable. There's one important test that you do when you're assessing fit of the contact lens, which is, can anyone answer that in the chat? When you're assessing the fitting of soft contact lens, the most important test is? The most important test in soft contact lens fit assessment is, like most of you have answered correctly, it is the lower lid push-up test. So congratulations to those who have answered it correctly. Okay, it's lower lid push-up test. So you do the lower lid push-up test also in terms of fit assessment. Now you have done the fitting and you think the fitting is fine, the vision is also reasonably good. And the final thing, again, there is disturbance. Guys, please go on mute. Can you go on mute? Okay, thank you. So we have done the spherical cylinder combination, everything, and we have done the fit assessment also. And we believe that, okay, the fit of this lens is fine. Now the last and probably the most important step in terms of toric contact lens ordering is you need to look at how the lens is settling on the eye. So we need to look at these scribe marks or laser marks. Now, as I said, different brands will have different types of marks, but to make it easy, we will choose this kind of marking where there are 3 marks at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock position. And the separation between these two guide marks is 30 degree. Sometimes, most of the times, people feel that it is just 10 degrees. No, it's 30 degree, especially in this particular lens. So you have to ask the manufacturer what are the scribe marks and what is the separation if you have any doubt. So they have to clarify your doubt as to how much is the separation between the two scribe marks. Okay. Now we are going to take a few examples to understand what do we do if there is any lens rotation. So what can happen? There are 3 things that can happen when you are assessing the fitting. The 6 o'clock position is exactly at 6 o'clock where it should be here. Okay, that's one possibility. The other possibility is it can rotate towards your left side or clockwise. And the last possibility, it could rotate anti-clockwise or towards your right side. These are the only three possible outcomes. Number one, no rotation or hardly any rotation. Second, it can rotate to the left hand side or clockwise. Third, it can rotate towards the right hand side or anti-clockwise. Now please remember, when we are talking about left hand or right hand, it is your practitioner's left or right, not the patient. Generally हम patient के left और right की बात करते रहते हैं, but when it comes to assessment of toric contact lens and when you are looking at the rotation, it is practitioner's left or right, not patient's. Okay, so these are the three possible outcomes. Now, if that happens, what do you do? This is what you do. And if you remember this formula, your toric contact lens fitting is done. It is called as LARS or CAS. It's the same formula written in two different ways. Left add, right subtract, or clockwise add, anti-clockwise subtract. Now the question is what to subtract or add and from what? Okay. So what to add or subtract and from what is given in this particular slide. So suppose the lens rotates clockwise. What do you do? For clockwise rotation, you add the amount of rotation to the axis of the spectacle correction. Okay, remember this. This is very important. So what do you add? You add how much the lens has been rotating on the eye. That you add to what? To the spectacle cylinder axis. So in our condition, it was 180 degree. The condition, the example we took, उसमें 180 degree axis था. तो जितना भी rotation होगा, वो आप 180 में add करो, and that will be your final lens prescription axis. Suppose the lens rotates to the other direction, which is counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. Then what do? You subtract the amount of rotation from the cylinder axis, the spectacle cylinder axis. Now, I'm sure this may be confusing for the first times, and that is why we are going to take a few examples to make it easy to understand. Okay. अब आपको दिख रहा है आपके screen पे, there are two lenses. On the left side, the lens has rotated by how much? By 30 degree. Now, how do I know 30 degree by looking at it? Because I knew the separation between the two marks of this particular lens was 30 degree. So, ek pura, instead of 6 o'clock, the other line has come to this. So it is rotated by 30 degree to the left side or clockwise. Now, if I look at the right lens, it has been rotating to the right hand side or anti-clockwise again by 30 degree. Are we clear with this much? It is rotating by 30 degree. Okay. Now, 30 degree rotation is a bit too much. So let's take a few examples of what we need to do. Suppose the lens fits like this. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to do any calculation. आपको जो spectacle cylinder से हमने जो calculate किया था, वो power and axis directly order करना है. So if you remember our prescription, which was -3 with -2.25 axis 180. If you remember, that was our prescription, right? And this is your final prescription. Patient will be happy. This is your final prescription of the toric lens. We are done. As simple as that. So just order the same power and patient will be happy. Now, as I mentioned earlier, over 90% of the times, this is what is going to happen. You don't have to worry about anything else. But sometimes 5 to 10% of the time, ये exact ऐसे fit नहीं होगा. There will be some mislocation. तब आपको LARS rule apply करना पड़ेगा, and we'll take examples now. Now, if you look at this image, the lens is rotating to the right side or counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. Okay. By how much? Again, by 30 degree, because the entire line is shifting to that. So 30 degree rotation. If you remember, we said for anti-clockwise or right hand, we use LARS or CAS rule. Left add, write, subtract. Okay, so somebody is smart, बड़ा ही तेज चैनल है, already जवाब दे भी दिया सवाल पूछने से पहले. Good. So we would subtract 30 degree from 180 degree and the answer is 150 degree. Okay, so you would order a lens which will be -3 with 2.25 axis 150 degree, and when we order that lens, patient will be, the vision of the patient will be better. Okay, let's take one more example because most of the times आपको इतना ज़्यादा rotation नहीं दिखेगा. The lenses are of good quality, they don't rotate so much, they rotate by less amount. Now you will say, how do I know this is 10 degree? This is estimation. This is called as an estimation method. So what did I do? The difference between these two scribe marks is around 30 degree. तो अगर middle में होता तो 15 degree होता. Now this is slightly in towards one direction, not exactly in the center. That's why we estimated this is 10 degree rotation. Now there's another way with which you can find out the amount of rotation using your slit lamp. Okay, so what do you do in that case is, आपके पास slit lamp है, उसकी एकदम thin पतली slit बनाओ, and you know that you can rotate your slit. Okay, so slowly rotate your slit so that it aligns with the central line, this line. Okay, that way you can actually एक सेकंड ना, मैं कुछ ट्राई कर रहा हूँ. Noops, I was trying to get the laser pointer. Got it. So if you look at this line, this is the central line. So what you will do is, you will use your slit lamp, make a very thin slit and run it parallel to this one. Okay, that way you will find out exactly how much is the rotation. Good. So in this case, what will be the answer here? Somebody has asked a very nice question. I will answer that question towards the end. I will definitely answer that, don't worry. Meanwhile, what should be the answer to this question? इसका जवाब क्या है? What will be the final lens prescription? Can you write it? कोई बात नहीं, जवाब मिल गया. अब सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट सवाल, जो भी तीसमार खान है, all those people who think they are very intelligent and they know toric contact lens fitting, उनके लिए ये सवाल है. If you answer this correctly, then you have understood. If you don't, then you still have to understand this better. Now suppose you ordered a contact lens. You ordered a contact lens which was compensating for the orientation. Okay, you applied Lars rule, you applied that Carr's rule, and you ordered a lens. Will it be exactly at 6 o'clock position, or will it be same as the trial lens? Where should be your orientation mark of the final lens after you have incorporated changes as per the Lars or Carr's rule? इस सवाल का जिसने जवाब दिया उनको समझ में आया, जिन्होंने सही जवाब दिया, of course. So I want everyone to answer this question. Guys, answer this please. A, B or C? So I'm just checking the answers. A, B. So some people are answering B, some people are A, nobody C. So people are at least sure कि वो एक specific जगह पे ही होगा, not anywhere, which is good. So at least one major problem we have solved. Now I'll answer this question. So you can stop chatting now. You can stop typing. Where should be the orientation mark of the final lens? See, you have applied Lars rule and you have ordered the final lens. The final lens will also behave exactly like the trial lens, and it has to. Try to remember हमारा spectacle axis क्या था? I'll just go back to the previous slide and then I will answer this question. हमारा previous slide में जाता हूँ. हाँ. Just look at this one. What is the spectacle axis? यार ये जा क्यों नहीं रहा? This is very painful, yeah. How do you get rid of this? Leave it. So spectacle axis is 180. So we want this lens to act at 180-degree axis. Okay. Now, if you put a 180-degree lens, it's gonna rotate 10 degree. So it will not act on 180. It will probably act on 170. Now that will not help the patient see very, very clearly. So you know that the lens is going to rotate, and that is why you're going to compensate for that rotation already. आप पहले से ही उस रोटेशन को कॉम्पेंसेट करोगे. सो वो जो 10 डिग्री रोटेशन है आपको पता है वो होने ही वाला है 10 डिग्री रोटेशन, इसलिए आपने 10 डिग्री ज्यादा ही दे दिया उसको. सो आपने 10 डिग्री दे दिया. सो व्हाट यू डिड वाज यू ऑर्डर्ड अ 10 डिग्री लेंस. नाउ बिकॉज यू ऑर्डर्ड अ 10 डिग्री लेंस, even if the lens rotates by 10 degree, the actual cylinder is going to be 180 degree. So it is important that the final lens also rotates exactly like the trial lens. Okay, if you understand this, you've understood toric lens fitting. This is how it works. The final lens should also rotate in the same way on delivery as the trial lens. All right, so I'll just show you this video and probably it will make it easy for you. यार ये पॉइंटर ही गायब हो गया मेरा. I don't know how to go get back to that. It's not giving me that. Does anyone know how to get rid of the pointer? Guys, anyone knows? किसी को पता है क्या? नहीं. Anyone knows how to get rid of this? Okay, let me try escape. Oh, I got it. See? Anyway, have a look at this video so that
This is a
you will
case in which
understand
the
the point.
lens rotates 20 degrees clockwise. Since the axis of the astigmatism is 180 degrees, usually the trial lens with the cylindrical axis of the 180 degrees is inserted into the eye. However, in this case, it rotates 20 degrees in a clockwise direction, and the axis of the astigmatism of the eye and the cylindrical axis of the lens do not align or match each other. Thus, the desired level of vision is not obtained due to the mismatch between the axis of the astigmatism of the eye and the cylindrical axis of the lens. In order to get good vision, it's necessary to line up the axis of the astigmatism of the eye and the cylindrical axis of the lens. The compensation of the axis is completed only in the optical zone without changing the position of the guide marks. To clarify the cylindrical axis of the lens, you must see it at the lens position, in which the center of the 3 guide marks is placed at the 6 o'clock position. In this case, the compensated cylindrical axis of the lens is 20 degrees. After getting the final lens, which has the 20 degrees of the compensated cylindrical axis of the lens, you insert the final lens into the eye. The final lens rotates 20 degrees in the clockwise direction, like the trial lens did. As you can see, after the final lens rotates 20 degrees in a clockwise direction.
Okay, guys, you understood better with the video now that the final lens also has to rotate in the same way the trial lens had rotated. Because the compensation is done only in the optic zone, the scribe marks are always in the same position for any axis. Okay, let's move further. So now you know Lars rule also. Then let's talk about a few refinements or the final takeaways. As any soft contact lens, this lens should also show movement. So it will be around 0.5 millimeter. Good fit is even if the lens is mislocating, it will come back to its original axis quickly. Tight lens will be slow to return, and loose fit will be unstable. After every blink, it will be moving here and there. So unpredictable loose fit. Now, if you look at this picture, I think it answers. It kind of gives you the answer to previous question. How exactly you can calculate the mislocation of the axis. So this is what I was trying to explain. There's a thin slit made which is running parallel to the central scribe mark, and now you can directly read the axis on the slit lamp scale, and that tells you if there is any rotation or not and how much is the exact rotation. Okay, so once you have done the axis finalization, you will order the lenses to the manufacturer. Now, some important things that we need to remember. After you put a lens in the on the patient's eye, forget about the trial lens. You will always make the changes to the spectacle axis, not the trial lens axis. कभी कभी ये हो सकता है कि patient's required axis is 170, but you didn't have a trial lens of 170 axis, so you put a 180 axis. But if you want to make any changes finally in the by using Lars rule or CAS rule, you will make 170 में changes, not 180 में. Spectacle axis में changes करने हैं जो भी करने हो. Trial lens axis, once you put it on the eye, forget it. It is only to see how the lens behaves. Okay. Choose the trial lens axis as close to the spectacle axis as possible, if not exact. Because suppose patient's cylinder axis is 90, and if you choose a 180 axis, these two lenses behave very differently. So they are not going to give you the same outcome. The results will be varying and you will get confused. Finally, the point which we were just trying to make, like the trial lens, final lens would also show similar rotation. Okay, a few things from the practice point of view. Forget the 4:1 cylinder ratio. Even for 0.75 cylinder, you should think of toric lenses first and not spherical equivalent. When you're talking to the patient, during the refraction itself, you can start talking about astigmatism and toric lenses. That there is an opportunity, there is an option which can correct your vision fully or optimally. Something like that you can start talking during refraction itself. Empirical fitting, most manufacturers recommend you don't need trial lenses now. You can directly order your contact lens based on your parameters. So for example, some manufacturers will say we will give you first fit guarantee. What it means is, based on the parameters, order the lens. They give you one box each of each eye. The first lens of that box you will open and put it up on the patient's eye. If it fits well, great, you can dispense the entire boxes. If you feel you need to make any changes, you can reorder, and they give you without charging any additional money. They call it as first fit guarantee. Why they do that? Because they know 90% or more the first lens is going to fit. So you don't have to go through this. So you don't have to keep the inventory of trial lenses. You don't have to spend time on that. You can directly order the lenses based on measurements and refraction. Sometimes you may have a patient with spherical refractive error in one eye and astigmatic refractive error in the other eye. You don't have to worry about that. You can easily fit a spherical contact lens in one eye and toric in the other eye. This used to be a problem few years ago when the thickness profile was very different and the toric lenses were very, very thick. So patients used to complain that in one eye I'm very comfortable, the other eye I'm not. But now the toric lenses are much, they've improved a lot, they have evolved a lot. So they are very similar, not exactly, but very similar to spherical contact lenses, and you can prescribe this. And finally, anytime you see a 0.75 cylinder, the first thing that should come to your mind is a toric lens and not spherical equivalent. Okay, so what message I want to give you finally is very simple. If you don't want your patients to behave like this, if you want to have a good relation with your patient like this, you need to learn to fit toric lenses, because more than 40% of the patients will have astigmatism of 0.75 or more in at least one eye. So there are no purely spherical, emetropes. You will always have some astigmatism along with that. And if you do that, it's very, very simple. If you have understood Lars rule and if you understand basic spherical soft contact lens fit, toric contact lens fitting is not very difficult. There are only two differences. One is power calculation. You can do it using your optical cross, your optometry knowledge, or you can directly look at the charts given by the manufacturer. That's your first different step. The second different step from spherical soft contact lens fitting is Lars rule, Lars or CAS rule, which you need only in around 5 to 10% of the cases. But you should know that, because that's the difference between you who has studied optometry, who's a qualified practitioner, versus someone who has not no understanding of lenses and who's just selling lenses over the counter. So you must know how to troubleshoot, because that's the difference between a qualified practitioner and an unqualified practitioner. Okay, thanks guys. So I'll take some of the questions which were not addressed beforehand. So which trial lenses do we stock? To be very honest, I don't recommend any stocking nowadays. We could actually go ahead with the this thing, empirical fitting. Sida, you can do that. Suppose you do want to stock some lenses, you can have some disposable lenses. Companies do provide that. And typically 90 and 180 axis you would need, because those two axes and the range which is with the rule and against the rule range will cover 70 to 80% of your prescription. So have one minus cylinder 90 axis, other minus cylinder 180 axis, and that should help you. So that's the answer to the question who was asking, shall I stock trial lenses or not? So my recommendation is you don't need to, but you can have a few trial lenses, maybe not more than 4 lenses, and you can try those diagnostic fittings. Yeah, any power. Power is not so important. You just want to know about the axis, no? So you can have a plano power lens, or you can have a -3 with, let us say, minus 0.75 cylinder axis 90 and axis 180. What is the reason behind an axis? Good question. So why do lenses rotate? Right? Ideally, it should not rotate at all. And most of the times it works. But sometimes what happens is the contour of your cornea is a little different. So whether the lens will rotate or not, that depends on the shape of the cornea, the lids, and the way the patients blink. Because every time you blink, typically there is a little bit of rotation. क्योंकि हम सीधा vertical, I'll just switch on my video so that you understand what I'm trying to say. Just give me a second. I'm just switching on the camera. Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm just gonna stop screen sharing and I'm just gonna let you see me and do a little bit of theater and drama. So what I was trying to say here is, जब हम blink करते हैं ना, तो हमें लगता है कि we blink exactly vertically, but that doesn't happen. We blink like this. There is a scissors movement. This is how the eyelids blink. शुरू होता है laterally and it is towards the nasal side. That's how we blink. I had a video somewhere right now. I don't have it, but maybe some other time. So because of that, the 6 o'clock position of your lens, like the bottom of the lens, gets rotated like that, gets pushed like that. So every time there is a blink, there is a bit of a rotation. And that is why sometimes, depending on the lens and cornea relationship, the lens rotates and settles in one particular position. And that is why we need to do the we need to apply Lahr's rule sometimes, not always. Eye posture will change any rotation while doing eye exercise? Not really. Lens will move with the eye, and if it is fitting well, even if it rotates a little bit, with a couple of blinks, it should take its normal position. Whether patient blinks or not, with every blink, there may be a little bit of disturbance, but within a second, it should settle properly. The lens should settle properly. And that's what happens when it is a good fitting lens. If it is a loose lens, it may be unsettling a lot. If it is a tight lens and suppose it rotates a little bit, it will take longer time to come back to its position. So with today's lenses, you don't get these problems. Isliye, I'll just tell you one thing. When we used to talk about toric contact lenses, it used to be in specialty contact lens section. Nowadays, we put it in regular contact lenses because they are so easy to fit now. There's nothing really difficult. Just a couple of different things from spherical lenses. That's it. Okay, any other questions? If you don't have this base curve that you need, now that you will know only after seeing the fitting. Okay, so suppose you apply a contact lens and you're not happy with the fit. It is too tight or too loose. Now, unfortunately, with toric designs, you will not get more than 1 or 2 base curves from one company because there are just too many number of contact lens parameters. So you'll have to manufacture too many lenses. So it's not feasible for the industry. So you will get typically 1 or maximum 2 base curves per brand. So suppose one particular brand does not fit, you will have to try a different contact lens from a different brand because you don't get too many choices of base curve. But of course, you will not compromise. Patient's eye health is more important. So you will always see if the lens is fitting well or not.
Since someone is asking for bells too.
I answered that. No, it doesn't really matter because when you close your eyes, um, the eyes go a little bit upwards and outwards. But when you open your eye, within less than a second, the lens comes back to whatever position it has to. No need to see diameter. You can, it's too theoretical to look at diameter, etc. Today, if you look at the contact lenses available in the market, they are all in the range of 14 to 14.5 millimeter. And if you look at Indian eyes, they are 11.5 to 12 millimeter in diameter. So anyway, they are taking care of almost more than 95 to 99% of Indian eyes. So you don't have to worry about it. It's theoretical. The manufacturers have taken care of that. So generally you have the diameter which you need. Again, another theoretical question, is radioscope a helpful tool in calculating? You can do that. Tell me one thing, how many of you have seen a radioscope? How many of you have seen a radioscope? Hardly anyone, right? Some of you. So these are very theoretical thing. When you are in practice, you will not even you will not even talk about radioscope. Whether the base curve is correct or not. Okay, I think there is a confusion here. Why would you need a radioscope? Can you answer, Ashi? Why do you want to, what does radioscope measure? If you answer that, I'll answer your question. And there's another question which I will again answer, don't worry. So Ashi, what does radioscope do? Why do we need it? No? If you don't answer this, how do you expect me to answer your question? Anyone else wants to answer the question, why do we need radioscope? अच्छा कोई जवाब नहीं दे रहा. Okay, so radioscope is an instrument used to measure the base curve of a contact lens, not diameter. The base curve of the contact lens, especially RGP lenses. Okay, measure the base curve of a contact lens. It does not tell you what should be the base curve that you need to select. Okay. So Preeti has answered that you can measure the base curve of a contact lens. So you don't need to measure the base curve of the lenses. The manufacturers have done that for you and you will trust the manufacturer for that. You need to find out what base curve you want, and that you would know by keratometry. In clinical practice, your keratometry is more important. Okay. So when you do keratometry, you will know what should be the base curve that you want to order. And whether it is the same base curve or not, you don't need to worry about. You can trust the manufacturers that they have done a reasonable job in sending you the right base curve. Any relation between modulus and base curve? Difficult to answer. I'm not sure what exactly you're looking for in this particular question. I would say fitting and modulus, probably there is a relationship. If you have lower modulus, that means the lens is more flexible. So lower the modulus, more it will drape around the cornea. So it will not mask any corneal astigmatism. If the modulus is too low, it will be very flexible. Also, then base curve becomes more irrelevant because the lens is so soft that it takes the shape of the cornea. So it doesn't really matter how much is the base curve, how much is the corneal radius, and how much is your base curve. So it is more forgiving. The softer the lens, the more forgiving it is. It will adapt to more corneas or more shape of the corneas. That's how it is. Okay. I follow empirical dispensing, just calculate. Okay, that's fine. We can measure radius. Okay. Is there any company of contact lens making customized? हाँ, customized contact lenses भी बनाते हैं. There are a few companies. I think Flexcon Toric आता है. कौन बनाता है वो? Flexilens contact है? नहीं, कौन? मैं नाम भूल गया यार. I'll let me remember and I'll put it. I don't remember it offhand. मेरे अभी जुबान पे था, but I don't remember that name. But yes, customized toric contact lenses are also available. So you can go up to -7, 8 cylinder also. Monthly or yearly toric, even if it is a spherical lens, I would still go in for monthly compared to yearly. And given a chance, I would prefer to give every patient a daily disposable lens. But because the cost is prohibitive, that's why you cannot recommend it to each and every patient. But it is always advisable to replace your lenses as soon as possible. So my first preference will be a daily disposable lens, then monthly disposable, and yearly to abhi almost gone. Nahi deta koi. Significance of BOZR. That's what I said earlier. In soft contact lens fitting, the significance of back optic zone is reducing because soft lenses, the material is so soft that even if it doesn't exactly match the curvature of the cornea, it still drapes around and it can adapt, I can say. So it manages the fitting on its own. That is why base curve is not such an important parameter in soft contact lens fitting, because the lenses are more forgiving. In RGP lenses, yes, they are very important because they are rigid lenses, they are tough lenses, they're not flexible. So the base curve of the lens has to match the curvature of the cornea. In soft contact lenses, that's not the case. They are forgiving. But still, you should check the fitting and it should not be too tight or too loose. Okay. Are there any other questions? कोई शक या कोई सवाल? कोई नहीं?
Sir, somebody is asking what toric lenses you are recommending for the patient.
दिया ना मैंने उसका जवाब, वेदर मंथली और ईयरली ना. अच्छा, अरे गुड क्वेश्चन. एक बात बताऊं, तुम लोगों को यकीन आएगा शायद. मैंने पिछले 12 साल से कोई पेशेंट नहीं देखा. आई एम नॉट इन क्लिनिकल प्रैक्टिस फॉर लास्ट 12 years. So I don't have to answer that question. Which brand? But if I want to answer from a practitioner's point of view, I would say today most of the multinational contact lenses are of good quality. So there is little difference between the brands. ऐसे नहीं होता है कि एक बहुत खराब है और दूसरा बहुत अच्छा है. It's like for a particular patient, one lens might suit. For the other patient, the other brands might suit. So you should not stick to just one brand. You should at least have 2 or 3 brands that you are dealing with, so that if one particular brand does not suit, you can at least try the other one. तो एक ही ब्रांड के साथ आप काम नहीं कर सकते. You need at least 2 or 3 and you can work around them. And it will depend on your clinical experience कि कैसे लेंस फिट हो रहा है, पेशेंट का रिस्पॉन्स कैसा है, पेशेंट कंफर्टेबल है या नहीं. दैट्स वन फैक्टर. सेकंड फैक्टर विल बी अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ द लेंसेज. थर्ड विल बी योर रिलेशनशिप विद द पीपल, कितना जल्दी आपको वो लेंस भेजते हैं, एंड सर्विस. So all these things put together, you will decide कि आपको कौन से ब्रांड के लेंस करने हैं. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर ये होना चाहिए that the quality of that particular brand and the patient response and the clinical judgment. ये जरूरी है सबसे. And then you can decide which brands. But by and large, most multinational companies do well. I think I have answered questions. Ikra?
Yes, sir, all is covered. Thank you so much, sir. Such a very wonderful and knowledgeable presentation. And अभी जो भी प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं टॉरिक लेंसेज की, आई थिंक कि उनको एक एक पॉइंट बिल्कुल क्रिस्प क्लियर हो गया होगा. मुझे तो सारे पॉइंट्स क्लियर हो गए. मुझे जो भी डाउट था वो क्लियर है. एंड
Thank you
आई
very
होप
much. So
एंड
thank you
थैंक्स
very much, guys.
and your presentation, sir. And
So thank you
extremely
so
sorry
much, Ikra. No, 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 that's
disturbance.
okay. I know, see, I'm generally, when you're doing it face to face now, it's much easier. But when you're doing it remotely like this, see now I can't even see anyone. I don't know who's attending. So it becomes difficult because it's more like a monologue. मैं अकेले ही बात कर रहा हूँ अपने आप से ऐसे लगता है. And on top of that, if there is too much of disturbance, no, so it takes you a little off track. That's why it's always better to have everyone on mute initially, and in the discussion session you can open uh, the mics if required. But anyway, thank you very much, guys, and I also apologize from my side if there was any delay or any technical error. But by and large, I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys learned something new. And if there is anything you want, in any doubts you have, you can always feel free to contact me. Okay?
Okay,
Chalo.
thank you so much.
Have a
Sir,
nice
all
evening.
candidates, sir, सारे candidates and
Thank you
सारे
so much, sir.
participants, thank you so much. And Priyanshi says revision हो गया अच्छा खासा.
चलो अच्छा है. अच्छा रिवीजन हो गया ना प्रियांशी? गुड गुड
Yes, sir.
गुड. अभी मैं सवाल पूछूंगा नेक्स्ट टाइम.
Okay.
चलो. Take care of yourselves, guys, and
Thank you,
see
sir.
you soon.
Take care of your family.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.